Getting you ready for Bills training camp. Today we're talking about the receivers. We're also playing the world-famous game, Yes, No, Kinda. I'm Thad Brown along with A.J. Feldman. We'll explain how all this works as we go. We're going to start with the strength of the Bills at receiver going into training camp. I think that's a pretty easy one. It's this guy, number 14, Stefon Diggs. Now, look, I know minicamp was an issue. There still is that, how does he feel? What does he think? What's his opinion of his world? Question to answer when we get to training camp. But the Bills told you all through minicamp, this is still the guy that stirs the drink on offense. Might be the best pure route runner in the NFL, coming off a season high in terms of, or a career high in terms of touchdowns in a season. Second best year when it comes to yards and receptions. Second team All-Pro last year. Look, Stefon Diggs is great. So, AJ, the question is, can Stefon Diggs, this strength, be something the Bills can build a season on? Yes, no, kinda. I think the answer is easy.
It is, yes. It's almost as easy as the Josh Allen question. Like you mentioned, he can do just about everything. And the only question is the fact that he turns 30 this year. Like you pointed out last year, 30-year-old wide receivers are sneakily almost as bad of a drop-off as 30-year-old running backs. But the guys that stay sort of immune to that are the route running guys, are the guys who can play in the slot, are the guys who can get open off of their ability instead of, their physicality, their speed, things like that. So Stefon Diggs, yes.
The weakness at receiver is impact elsewhere. Not saying that the other guys are weak, but as we talked about last season a lot, the secondary receivers just did not have that driving impact. Now, Gabe Davis is back, obviously very good as a third receiver, disappointing last year as a number 2. Drops are a thing he's got to clean up quickly. But outside of that, most of the rest of the receiving core is pretty much what we had last, or a lot different than what we had last year. Khalil Shakir is back, but you've got Deontay Hardy maybe as the slot guy, Trent Sherfield as a fourth receiver. AJ, can the Bills' lack of impact at receiver destroy this season? Yes, no, kinda.
I think the answer is yes. Gabe Davis, as you mentioned, didn't show up when they relied on him last year. He had the ankle injury, but that was seen as a reason for why he didn't rise to that standard. But at the same time, if it's an ankle injury that early on in the season, you would like to see him get over that. Or at the same time, just take some time off if it's really going to be that big of an issue. So was that as big as a factor as the Bills tried to make it seem like? I don't know. Other than Stefon Diggs, nobody could really win one-on-one battles last year. They had to bring in Cole Beasley. They had to bring in John Brown. Now, they did bring in a whole cast of different guys, but none of those players, when the Bills signed them this offseason, they're all guys you had to research, like, okay, yeah, maybe he's done things before, but it's no slam dunk, sure things. Secondary option was a big weakness last year. It's the reason why everybody's talking about DeAndre Hopkins this offseason. It's the reason why Brandon Beane keeps saying, well, if you want to come down here, we'll have you. He wouldn't be saying that if they were stacked 3 through 4. Obviously, they want to get better all the time, but he wouldn't be winking at DeAndre Hopkins all offseason if they were fine.
Gabe Davis's drop issues were happening in training camp before the ankle happened, so that putting things on the injury, I think, is almost a hope, to be honest. And then Hardy and Sherfield are guys that were never big contributors. After that, you've got 5th-round picks in Shakir and Justin Shorter. I don't know how you get dependability or impact out of that, so I agree with you. I think the answer is yes. X factor to me here is Hardy. Here's a guy that, when he has been on the field, he's been hurt a lot, never played more than 40% of the offensive snaps in any of his 4 seasons. But when he's out there, he has been able to make big plays. Seems like a guy that can win one-on-one to address situations we talked about before. So can Deontay Hardy, AJ, or will he be a guy that really swings this season? Yes, no, kinda.
I think the answer is kinda, in the fact that the Bills sure hope so. This is a guy that they brought in to play in that slot position. This is a guy that they gave enough money for that it factored into that complicated compensatory pick formula that they were very concerned about this offseason. They were very diligent in not spending out too much money where they could get that 3rd-round pick for when Tremaine Edmonds leaves. So this is a guy that they were willing to say, okay, we don't have a ton of money to give everybody. We're going to be very cautious about this. We want to give it to you. So they sure hope so. He's shown ability in the past. Can he stay on the field? Can the Bills training staff, the sports science that is always so highly touted at One Bills Drive, can they keep him on the field? I think it's kinda. If he can impress, if he can live up to his potential, that would be a big boost for the offense.
There's an opportunity here for a guy like Hardy to really make a big difference this season. Okay, you are all set at wide receiver. For AJ, I'm Thad. Click on something else here at RochesterFirst.com.